Hey, welcome back to another Gadget Report. Let's talk gadgets. And before I start my Gadget Report, I would like to make a little reflection. Unfortunately, there has been another air crash, and it was very sad in India when Air India Dreamliner crashed a few minutes after taking off. I'm not obviously going to make any commentary on that. I'm just here to pass my condolences to all the family and friends of the victims, and hopefully it is found what caused this crash and changes are made so it never happens again. So condolences given. Let's go to our Gadget Report of this week, which unfortunately also talks about crashes and also talks about Boeing. The crash last 2 weeks, because I'm saying last week because obviously our Gadget Reports are recorded 1 week before I publish it. So this would be published 1 week after I am here recording it. So I said last week, but it was 2 weeks ago. Was a Boeing Dreamliner 787 Dreamliner, and the one that I'm talking about today, it is the 737 Max, the ill-fated aircraft that caused 2 crashes and had a lot of controversy around it with the MCAS, etc. So let's talk about the 737 Max. So let's talk about our 737 Max. This month I've been completing the cycle about this aircraft. I spoke about MCAS. I'm talking about this the aircraft, and then I will also mention the crashes that happened that caused the whole issue, the whole fleet to be grounded, etc. So today I'm talking about the aircraft, and all the information I am providing in this video was taken from Boeing website. I'll leave the link for Boeing so you can also go there and check in more detail all the specifications for this website, for this aircraft rather. So the 737 Max is a single aisle aircraft that offers a lot of efficiencies. So again, aviation bettering itself and having a much efficient, a better aircraft in the market. This has been the case not just for Boeing, but for Airbus and all aircraft manufacturers. Every single aircraft, every single new aircraft that is released, it's obviously going to be better than the previous ones. And one of the main things that are being looked is, of course, the noise reduction, the emissions, the fuel efficiency, because these are the biggest challenges that airlines face or aviation faces in terms of having aircraft in the air. It's the pollution, it's the noise, and of course, with the fuel efficiency will determine also the pollution levels, etc., etc. So everything is connected. The maintenance costs as well. You know that some aircraft, I've spoken about this. For example, the A380, one of the reasons it might not have had that big success that maybe Airbus was aiming for it was the high maintenance costs that the aircraft has. And that is also something that airlines look for, of course, because it's a big bulk of their budget on aircraft maintenance. And of course, the costs to purchase the aircraft in the first place, and then the costs that they have associated with the maintenance of that aircraft. And we all know that an aircraft requires a lot of maintenance. They always need to be checked out for every single thing, because one tiny little thing may cause a massive disaster. And we've seen this many times, where sometimes we have a terrible accident, and then it's found that it was just sometimes a little bolt, sometimes something as simple as that. So maintenance is a very, very pivotal part of an airline operation, because it is essential that the aircraft are always at their best state in order to be able to fly safely and efficiently as well. So this aircraft again shows that reduces emissions by 20% and produces 50% less noise than the aircraft that is replacing, so the old Boeings and Airbuses as well. It also has less maintenance, according to Boeing, and a very stylish design that, of course, is a plus with passengers. It has the LED lights, the sculpted sidewalks. This also creates that pleasant environment for the passenger, because let's face it, we all look at efficiencies, we all look at the fuel efficiency, at the noise, at emissions, all of that, the costs, the maintenance, but ultimately are the passengers that are going to have the last word. And if the aircraft is really efficient in all of that, but then it really doesn't strike a chord with the passengers, then it's not going to be a success. And in this case, it was also thought to be a pleasant aircraft, pleasant environment for the passengers, a pleasant experience for the passengers as well. The latest 737-10 can carry up to 230 passengers, and it has a range of 5,740 kilometers, a length of 43.8 meters, and a wingspan of 35.9 meters on a LEAP 1B engine from CFM International. These are the specifications of this aircraft. According to Boeing, its biggest client at the moment is United Airlines, so the American company, the American airline, United Airlines. So as you know, and it's been on the news, it's been, and even here on my channel, it had a very bumpy start with 2 deadly crashes that forced the entire fleet to be grounded. Lion Air Flight 610 and Ethiopian Airways Flight 302 crashed shortly after departure due to an altitude problem. It was found that it was the new MCAS system that I spoke about in a previous video that has been introduced in this aircraft. So the MCAS was one of the big news, the big revolution, or the big novelty for this aircraft, and ended up being his demise at the beginning. At the very beginning, the system was not implemented properly. It was found that the system was not implemented properly, and the training, the pilot training, was not sufficient for the pilots to understand how to work with MCAS and to come out of several calls from the MCAS when it activated successively after very faulty altitude readings. So it has been introduced. So I spoke about this in the last video. It was introduced to minimize that nose lift, that pitch caused by the massive engines. These aircraft have massive engines, and that may cause excessive pitch, and the MCAS was introduced to correct that and try to bring the nose down. It was found that it was causing more problems than solutions. And that's why after the whole investigation, new rules were introduced for the MCAS itself. It's still present in the aircraft, but now it has different rules attached to it, and everything is done in a different way. Although the system could have been of great use, and it was, and the system was meant to do good, but because the implementation was faulty, and the whole training issue was not there, it ended up causing more problems than solutions, as I said. The NTSB proposed that more training was provided to the pilots, and that the system itself was redesigned in order to be more effective and allow pilots to still hold control of the aircraft, not activating multiple times, because that's what was found, especially with the Ethiopian Airways, that because the faulty altitude readings were present, the MCAS was constantly activated, and even though the pilot was trying to get control of the aircraft, the MCAS was constantly activated and bringing the nose down, even though the pilot was trying to put the nose up. So, and this was one of the issues that was found with the MCAS at the time. In 2021, the aircraft was given the green light. However, I don't think that, unfortunately, there had been many news about the aircraft. If you go to Boeing page, usually in every airline they have, in every aircraft, they have the clients that they have, and they have the airlines listed there. They have the logos of the airlines, and they even have photos of the aircraft with the livery of the airlines that use them. And for this aircraft, you won't see any. So I think it was a good example of money being ahead of people. That is my conclusion in regards to this. And Boeing was seriously criticized at the time because of this. It's been a very, very bumpy ride for Boeing ever since. A few other issues here and there. Now we have a Dreamliner that crashed. Of course, it hasn't been found any fault with the aircraft yet. The investigations are still in the very beginning, and I'm obviously not going to preempt any conclusions or comment on that, because that would be seriously wrong. But Boeing has suffered a lot with the whole issue with this aircraft, the grounding of the entire fleet, what was found about the MCAS, everything that was found related to this aircraft, I would say was took a toll on the company itself. Although the system had issues and there was not enough information and training about it. I think that was, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, I think the lack of training was one of the things that I find was really crucial in this case. Because if the pilots had adequate training, maybe they would have been able to get out of that situation and deal with MCAS in a more effective way. And who knows, those two flights would have been saved. But obviously, we never know. Unfortunately, the disasters happen and all those people were killed. So the manufacturer is still went ahead launching it, even though apparently there was not enough information. They had been advised not to do it, and this was what was on the news at the time. They went ahead. So in my view, this was a case of putting money ahead of people with a disastrous consequence, as we know. The FAA also copped a fair bit of backlash for certifying the aircraft, knowing about MCAS, knowing about these issues. So Boeing didn't copy it alone. It was not just Boeing being, blamed for the whole thing and all the bad press on Boeing. I think it would have been unfair as well. But the FAA itself got a bit of a bashing as well, because, well, why would you certify an aircraft that has such issues? And if this is not addressed properly, it should have been addressed properly before the aircraft being certified. So this was a little bit of a problem. But now, will the 737 MAX survive all this drama, all these issues, and will it come back from this? Well, that is the big question. As I said before, if you look at Boeing's website, the page usually shows the information regarding orders and deliveries. It doesn't have any information for this particular aircraft. So it might take some time for Boeing to convince airlines that this is a good aircraft and that the 737 MAX is a great aircraft and they should invest on it. But time is also its enemy. So it may heal the wounds of the whole drama and the whole scandal, but it also works against this aircraft, and this is my personal opinion, because more aircraft will be released, and that may mean that the 737, the 737 MAX may really never take off, because, as we were talking about at the beginning of the video, every single aircraft that is released, it's always better than the previous one. So whatever aircraft Boeing is going to release next, whatever aircrafts Airbus is going to release next, Embraer, whatever, all manufacturers, the specifications and the aim is always to be better than the ones that they produced before. Even different models of the same aircraft, every single new model, it's released because it has been improved. It has improved specifications. Most of the times it will be more noise reduction, less emissions, more fuel efficiency. It might be bigger range. Who knows? It is always something better. So if time may be on this aircraft side in terms of healing the wounds and making people walk and heal and forget about all the bad press that was in regards to the aircraft. And I think the word forget wouldn't be the right one to use on this occasion, because you can never forget two crashes like that. You can never forget all those victims that died over this issue. But it just healing, just, the grieving process going and healing from all of this, and time will actually, obviously, will help with that. But there is the other factor, is that time is also time that airlines are looking for more aircraft. They're looking for ways to reduce costs, improve, travel times, improve on their bottom lines, of course, everything. And manufacturers keep on going, releasing more aircraft with more specifications, with better specifications. And this means that the 737 MAX may not be the runner for this competition anymore, because there might be another aircraft that does the job and did not have the bad press that this one had. So again, only time will tell if eventually there will be any airline that decides, okay, let's put this to bed, let's order a few of these aircraft and let's see what it comes up. But unfortunately, it might be too late for this aircraft. It was, which is actually unfortunate. And if we look at this in hindsight, it was what Boeing actually wanted, that this was a revolution, that with the MCAS, with this new system, with all of these, that would supposedly make this aircraft safer than other aircraft, end up being the sole factor that caused this demise. So it was a whole combination of things. Obviously, Boeing was in the wrong here. The FAA, I believe, also was in the wrong, because if they were not happy, or if this MCAS was not 100% up to scratch, the pilots were not trained properly, if there was a lot of factors here against this MCAS, they should never certify the aircraft if it wasn't up to scratch. And this was one of the criticisms, and one of the things that were fiercely out against both Boeing and the FAA at the time. It was exactly that, the lack of training and the rushing things. I guess this would be the correct way of saying it. It was the rush of things. They were rushing to put aircraft out there. They were rushing to get the aircraft and get the all publicity, the hype on the aircraft, this new system, safer system, etc., that ended up in disaster, ended up killing all these people. And now, unfortunately, it might be that this aircraft will never really take off, because now it might just be too late. The aircraft was grounded for a very long time, because they had to investigate. They had to obviously make all those changes to the MCAS itself in order to the system to be safer for usage in the aircraft, of course. And of course, they had to go through all the process of training the pilots. If they want to fly this aircraft, they need to have adequate training to deal with this system, which happens with every other aircraft and every other system. So it was a case that the rushing, the money-grabbing exercise back then ended up being what caused all of this. And it was a very, very unfortunate case, and it was a very unfortunate page on Boeing's history and on aviation's history too. It was sad, two flights, hundreds of people dead, and of course it's always a very sad story to tell. And but as always, from these disasters, from stories like this, there's always the investigation and the good part, if there is any good part, of course. And I don't mean this lightly, obviously, because when you have hundreds of people dying, there's never a good part of it. But what makes you think, well, they didn't die in vain, it's because they now know the reason why they died, what happened, and measures have been taken. So this particular system that have caused the problem, it's no longer causing that issue, because it has been redesigned and it has been done in a way that pilots now have the last word, and they have control of the aircraft, and the system won't override them. And again, it has been proven that the pilots were not trained properly, and now they will need to have that adequate training on how to deal with the MCAS in order to fly a 737 MAX. So this was the outcome of all of this. This was the lesson learned of all of this. I hope not just for Boeing, but for all the plane manufacturers, this was a lesson. And we have less and less of things like this, where commercial interests and things like that come first, because as we can see, and here is quite noticeable, that it doesn't get you anywhere. If anything, it just causes disaster. This aircraft could have been a major success, and because everything was rushed, because everything was not done and implemented properly, it ended up being one of aviation major disasters. So only time will tell, as I say, but chances are we won't see this bird flying as much as Boeing wish we would, and of course as we would wish it would. And that's all for today. I hope you liked this gadget report. I hope you liked my intake on the whole situation with the 737 MAX. And of course, if you have any opinion about this, if you have anything to add, just put a comment below and I would love to add to that discussion. Or if you know any more facts about this particular aircraft, about what is happening with this aircraft, please add. It's always interesting when you can add more information and we can have a discussion about all these topics. Again, if you have any topic, gadget related, of course, that you would like me to see, me discussing on our gadget reports, again, leave a comment below. It's all about leaving a comment. Leave a comment below and just suggest. I will be very, very happy to accommodate it. And you know, if you like my content, if you watch my videos and you like me talking about my favorite gadgets, you just put a like and subscribe the channel with a little click on the bell so you can get a notification of a new gadget report every week. This also helps my channel, which has been growing, and I'm very, very, very thankful for that. Thank you so much for being on that side watching me. But if you put a like, if you subscribe, and if you leave a comment and you share with your friends, that signals the YouTube algorithm that I'm having more viewers, that I'm having more subscribers, and they will show my content to more people. So the channel will grow and more people will have access to my gadget report, and we all talk gadgets. So please, put a like, subscribe. It's for free and it's fun. Before I go, I would like to thank you all for watching, and I will see you next week. Thank you. Bye.